The Public Works meeting to order, March 5th, 2019. Notice has been duly posted. Roll call.
Mayor Chilson,
Present.
Alderperson Jertson,
Here.
Alderperson Smith,
Here.
Fred Bueller,
Here.
Jared Holter is also here.
Okay. Also, Alder Banash is with us, and Alder Wolf is also with us, and the city administrator, and the assistant police chief. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Move to approve.
Motion made by Alder Smith, second by Alder Jertson to approve the minutes. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. Public input. Anybody wishing to give public input may step to the podium at this time, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes. Second call for public input. Third and final call for public input. That is now closed. Consideration and possible action on the following items. Review and consideration of corrosion control within the water system, including presentation by Water Quality Investigations, LLC. Jared.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tonight, we do have Andrew Jock representing Water Quality Investigations, LLC. Mr. Jock has worked within the city for over 10 years on a variety of projects regarding various well projects we've had within the city. As you know, we started the corrosion talks with the DNR approximately a year ago, back in April of 2018. We have started the inclusion of orthophosphate within our water system, as you've been updated in the previous months. We are fortunate enough that we had Mr. Jock in the city today sampling at well number 8, doing some work on, some background work on our source water. He is looking at how the biological activity would affect the copper corrosion within our water system to also go along with the work that Process Research Solutions is doing. We really don't have a real agenda for the topic tonight or a formal presentation, but I will invite him up to speak and just kind of have a free discussion. We'll get him started, and then if anybody has any questions, just ask them as we go, and I think the discussion will just kind of lead us into the topic at hand.
Thank you.
Just make sure you speak into the microphone and you identify yourself for the transcriptionist, please.
All right. My name is Andy Jock. I'm with Water Quality Investigations. I'm happy that I was able to come and talk to this group while I was in town doing some sampling. So the work we're doing is part of a corrosion control study that the DNR is requesting. You're not out of compliance with lead or copper in the community. So this really is part of a proactive measure to get a better handle as to what's causing elevated copper in your drinking water. I don't have a formal presentation, so if you've got any questions, just please shoot them at me. When we get involved in studies, we always are looking at water quality from a holistic perspective, meaning that regulations say you have this in your water, that's a problem, or you have something in your water and it's not a problem yet. And when that something is in the water, they often prescribe, well, it's something to do with an inorganic reaction or something that's always in the water. I step back and I want to look at it and say, okay, that's in the water, but why? And it's important to understand why, because if we understand why, then we know how to deal with it. Regulations in general basically have this assumption that that it's in the water, it's always going to be in the water, or that corrosion happens because the water is aggressive or the water is corrosive. When we step back and we start looking at the sciences behind water, sciences behind water meaning the water comes from the ground, it comes from hydrogeology. It flows through pipes, which is a different man-made material. It sits in different types of plumbing material. And we know that there's stuff in that water that would cause reactions. I want to step back, and I also want to say, let's not just look at one side of the equation, being the inorganic reactions, the inorganic chemistry. We have acid, we put it on metal, and it causes corrosion. There's always this biological side of it. So what we find in a lot of the work that we do is biofilm is always part of a water quality issue. So when we start a study, we always say, is there biofilm present? Yes or no. If it's no, then we know it's inorganic chemistry. If it's a yes, then we want to find out, is the biofilm the problem or the symptom of another problem? So when we have looked at the water from Onalaska, we can see natural biofilm that's the water's been in contact with. And a lot of people think biofilm, that's not something that it's scary. Biofilm is beneficial in many different ways. We cannot survive without biofilm that's in our gut. We have biofilm on our teeth. Biofilm is everywhere. You eat an apple, there's biofilm on the surface of that apple. And it helps us. We cannot survive without biofilm. We get worried about biofilm when it becomes a problem. A biofilm could harbor a pathogen, which would cause us to be sick. It can then cause corrosion and release metals, which then are contaminants to us. A biofilm can actually cause disinfection byproducts to be formed, so basically put something in the water, it reacts with our chlorine and creates a carcinogen. So that's where we're always coming from. Is biofilm part of the problem? Or is biofilm the problem or is symptom of something bigger? So what we find in Onalaska's water is there's natural biofilm that's in the water. But we see that it's probably a little bit more aggressive than we would like it to be. So why is it there, and can we do something about it? So right now, today, we started the first step of the process, which is to sample one of the wells. Whatever happens in your plumbing systems is going to be based on what's happening in your distribution piping network that's out in the streets, and whatever happens there is going to happen because of the source water, what's coming from the wells. And then whatever happens in the wells what's going to happen in those wells is going to be based on what type of water is flowing to the well from the aquifer. So it's this whole interconnected network that we try to boil down to, do you have lead or copper in your water? But it's all these interactions that are happening. So today we sampled one of the wells, and we're going to find out, is part of the natural biofilm that's in the water system because of how the wells are constructed, or is it because of how the aquifer is flowing to it? So we're trying to tease out what is the underlying reason for biofilm to be present and to cause the corrosion. The national regulations on lead and copper in drinking water totally ignore the role of biofilm. We see, and years ago, I would have been under that same thought process, that you have lead or copper in your water, you have to either feed an orthophosphate to deal with the corrosion products to protect those, so basically prevent those corrosion products from coming into the water. The orthophosphate reacts with the copper, and it creates a protective film. That's the thought process. Other waters where it's acidic, we adjust the pH. The pH is high enough, it doesn't cause the acid to attack the copper, so that we have the corrosion products in our water. I would have been of that same mindset years ago, but what we see now after doing a lot of this testing is that there is a role of biofilm in that, and we're teasing out, what is that role. So instead of just feeding a chemical, which is what basically the regulations are assuming, that it's all inorganic reactions, that you have to feed a chemical to address the issue. The regulations totally ignore the role of biofilm in that, in basically causing corrosion. The work that we do then connects the role of microbiology. I mean, everybody likes to eat, right? And microbes like to eat too. And different microbes will want different types of food for them. So we look at those components in the water, but then we do other tests to say, okay, if they're here, then they'll make this other component change. So it's like, it's these other reactions, and I don't know how of a better analogy, but we are looking at 4 or 5 different tests that are all independent, but they're all pointing to the same conclusion, is that there is a role of biofilm in biology that's natural in our environment, in the lead and copper that we're seeing in a lot of systems that we test. And we see that at play here. So what we're gonna, the role of this testing, or the goal behind this testing, is to find out what is that component so that we can control it. The worst, in my opinion, the worst thing we can do is what the EPA and the DNR regulations basically say is, you have a corrosion problem, even though you're not out of compliance, we can see that number's there. At any one time, it could go out of compliance. We're trying to address it before that happens. But what they basically say is that you have elevated corrosion products in your water, you should feed a phosphate or do pH adjustment. And it's like chasing the symptom. It's the shiny object. And we could throw a lot of money at feeding phosphate or putting in a pH adjustment, but the real problem is over here. And it's like, the real problem is putting that laser pointer around, and we're throwing money at the you know, the cats are chasing it. And what we want to do, though, is we want to control that laser pointer. And that's what we're trying to get at, is that is what's causing the lead and copper corrosion. And once we identify its role and address it, then we see where the system settles at. So we've done a lot of work in this area. I could probably talk for hours on here, and I won't. But the root thing that we're trying to do is find out who is controlling the laser pointer, so that we don't chase a shiny object and have this community then become out of compliance because we're looking in the wrong direction. So we're starting at the source of working out.
So I had, when I was talking to Andy earlier today, I kind of equate it to, you go to the doctor and you have high cholesterol. They give you a statin, a pill to take every day to lower your cholesterol. But the root cause would be, really what you should be doing is to lose weight and or do more exercise and watch your diet. So we're trying to do, you know, we're still, the orthophosphate that the DNR would like to see us adding is a workable solution to assist us, but we're trying to also go backwards and do a root cause to the problem and get to a deeper source that we can get a better understanding of what we're trying to accomplish. So
Right.
I kind of think that's a simple analogy that kind of goes with what, and you know, there's a lot of technical, Andy could talk for an hour on things that are way above anything that we're probably going to understand, but he does a good job of getting it into terms that staff can understand. What he brings to us makes sense. We're going to hopefully have in his conclusions from the testing also some other workable solutions on what we should be doing maintenance-wise on our source water at our walls, things like that. He's been working very good with the staff. I got Public Works staff here. There's Jim Prindle and Shane Stoner and Ashley Kramer have all been working together with him on testing and DNR reporting and things like that. And it's been a very large work load for the Public Works staff and the water system side of things, trying to get all this going. So our testing has ramped up measurably in the last year, trying to be proactive. So we're trying to be proactive with this. We could have let this go until the mandated, EPA mandated testing next summer, and then might have been over and might not have been. So we're trying to be proactive, I think, is the big thing here.
Mr. City Administrator.
Thank you. As a non-scientist, so at this point, we're in compliance?
Yep.
Okay. I heard lead and copper, but lead is not an issue, copper is, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
It's elevated.
It's elevated, but we're still in compliance. So we're being proactive to see what's going on in the water and looking beyond, at real science beyond just you said, the symptoms. So I noticed in my daily vitamin there's copper in it. Am I to probably stop taking that? Are copper levels that high? Someone that drinks the water frequently but doesn't understand all the science behind it, what are the risks right now, if any?
The copper limits are set up for lifetime exposure to that amount. So people do take supplements. And if you have elevated copper in your water, you probably want to look at whether your supplement should be taken with copper in it. I haven't gotten that far into the regulations to say if members in the community are taking multivitamins and have elevated copper, I don't know if that's considered in the regulations.
Okay.
They're looking at that 1,300 milligrams per liter copper lifetime exposure. And how the regulations are set up is usually it's 1 in 100,000 or 1 in 1 million at that level could have a health issue. So these limits aren't set up for zero health issues. They're set up for minimizing the health issues.
Very good.
It's a good question for your doctor, whether or not you would be at risk.
Very good. Thank you.
But the risk on copper is way less than the risk on lead. There aren't the cognitive issues associated with copper as there are with lead.
What about chromium?
As far as, I don't know what's in your water.
Didn't we have a chromium issue?
No, we've tested for chromium and we're below the mandated levels, but there's some states that have other levels. So we do not have any chromium issues within the city of Onalaska, regulatory or
I thought-
otherwise.
Am I crazy, or did I hear that about a year ago?
Not here,
Not here?
no.
Then I am crazy. I'm sorry, Ron.
That's for Jared. Just quick on the measurement of the chromium. Wisconsin's not measuring chromium, let's say, for instance, the way other states are measuring it.
Correct, California has a much lower chromium level than the EPA level. Correct. I think
We-
that's probably the best.
Thank you.
And we have seen chromium in wells with excess biofilm causing attack of basically the machinery, the stainless steel shafts that are in pump. I don't know that's an issue in your community.
We haven't seen any of that
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
no.
Is the biology potential factor in the elevated levels of copper?
Yes. I can definitively say that in your community it is.
Now, the next question I would have is, we're treating the symptom with phosphate.
Right.
Do we understand what the phosphate means to the microbiology, or is that what we are trying to get the laser on?
That's part of what we're doing now, is understanding where does that phosphate fit into their diet. So every living cell needs carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus to survive. We see natural phosphorus coming from the aquifer.
It's going to.
So it's already in the water, and we're enhancing it. What we don't know is what other nutrients are present. So are there cheeseburgers and steaks and fries out there, or do we only have the Coca-Cola product out there? I don't know. So that we're looking at the mix of nutrients that are in the water coming from each well. One well might be more problematic than another. We know phosphorus is there already. What we do know in the research that we've done is that a lot of times when you feed the orthophosphate, you do see less corrosion products in the water. And the mechanism isn't fully teased out yet on what we're doing, but what we think is happening is that the corrosion is still occurring. It's just that the phosphate is interacting with the copper and keeping that copper bound up in the biofilm. That at some point in time, though, if you had a disruption in the system, you would have a massive release of copper because the biofilm would slough. And that, to me, is a greater risk.
If let's say, for instance, if the biofilm became less viable, it was dying off, that could potentially be a large release of copper contaminant into the system.
It could, right. Yeah.
I guess the question I would have, would the phosphate should have the opposite effect of that if the biofilm is feeding on it. But that doesn't stop it from dying off from something else.
It's a real delicate balance, like, population dynamics. When you introduce a new species, there's a new pecking order.
Austin, in fact.
Yeah, so there's a new pecking order that's established. You take something away, a new pecking order is established. When the DNR wanted phosphate to be fed here, we were pushing that it be fed slowly, because we don't want to create a major disruption. When you have a major change in a nutrient in the water, and phosphorus is a nutrient, well, then you're going to have a major change in the natural biofilm that's going to be present. And these, the water is always tested coliform safe, E. coli safe, so we're not worried about a pathogen, but we're worried about these natural biofilms and then trying to change the pecking order, and then they release. What I can say is we've done a lot of work in the biofilm, and it's really, really hard to remove. We can never eliminate it. We can control it, and that's what we're after, is we want to control it to be a manageable thickness and a manageable occurrence, so that corrosion is always going to happen because of it, but we need to minimize it. The only way that we can make any water have no biofilm in it would not be cost effective. We have to basically remove everything out of it, sterilize it, and put it back in. And even then, once it leaves the source and gets out into the piping, there's a lot of stuff that could happen, yeah. But in your water here, I think you have less of a likelihood of having this loss of nutrients and die-over and sloughing, because what we see in the water, there's this kind of low-level nutrient that's always present. But we want to control the dynamics so that it doesn't create that sloughing event.
No.
And changing a chemical dose quickly can do that.
Very helpful, thank you.
You're welcome.
It says consideration. Is there something?
No, it was just written that way, but I just wanted to have the presentation. I knew Mr. Jock was going to be in the city today with the testing. I thought it'd be a good update regarding what we're trying to accomplish. We'll probably be bringing forward some recommendations on action items in the next couple months from some of the testing that's being done, and then kind of go from there. So I guess just if nobody's got any questions, we'll.
Thank you for coming, we
Yeah.
appreciate
Yep.
it.
Thank you.
Very good.
Okay. I'm going to move items 12 and 14 up so that we can get our assistant police chief to another event that he has to be at. So let's go to item 12. Review and consideration of police department vehicle purchases.
I'll start off, Your Honor. In your packet tonight, I have a email from Chief Miller. They are requesting the purchase of 2 Ford Police Interceptors at $33,112 each for $66,224, and another police interceptor that would be an unmarked vehicle for another $33,117 for a total purchase of $99,341. These are purchased from Ewald Automotive Group on the state bid contract that we've purchased from for many, many years. The capital improvements budget did include funds for these purchases, and they will be using additional funds that are in those capital improvement accounts for outfitting the cars and putting the various upgrades that they need to put on them. So if you got specific questions about what's going to go on the vehicles, I'd invite the Assistant Police Chief to give any input, but other than that, that's what they're proposing.
On?
On equipment that's going to be going into it, are we using any of the old stuff, or is that not applicable to it? Not going to work. Yeah. Thanks.
Jared, I just wondered, or Assistant Chief, either way, how this compares to the budgeted amounts?
We had in the budget, Fred's looking, Fred
Yeah, I
might
have
get
it
to,
right
you
here.
get to yours sooner, I got
Yeah.
mine here too.
We have, it's on project number 50, squad car unmarked was 40,600. And project number 51 for 2 vehicles of 106,200.
So we've got about 146,000 total, but a lot of their equipment that they do and the decaling and everything, the equipment is very expensive for these vehicles. It's quite a bit of a cost. And the Public Works Department in years past, like many years, probably like 7 or 8 years ago, used to do all the switchover of the vehicles, but that would take the mechanic approximately 2 straight weeks of time to switch over one vehicle, and it's only gotten worse with all the electronics in it, the computers, the cameras, and everything like that, that they have a specialized firm that does that for them. So that is part of the price too, that has to be paid out of that fund.
Thank you. I mostly just wanted it into the record. Thank you.
I'd make a motion that we purchase the 3 vehicles outlined from Ewald Automotive Group in the amount of $99,341.
Second.
Motion made by Director of Public Works Holter, seconded by Alder Jurtson, to approve the purchase of police vehicles for in the amount of $99,331. How many vehicles is that, Jared?
3 total,
3.
correct.
Okay. Discussion on that? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. Item 14. Review and consideration of the traffic control at the following intersections: 11th Avenue South and Green Bay Street, or Green Street. Why don't you just go ahead with this?
Okay.
Take them however you
Yep.
want them.
Yeah, I'll take an item A first, 11th Avenue South and Green Street. So in your packet tonight, I have included a map with your packet that shows the proposed stop signs to be installed on 11th Avenue South at Green Street. Green Street is a through street from 12th Avenue South all the way over, actually goes all the way over to Highway 35. So this is a east-west street that does serve the neighborhoods in the area. Just as background for all these stop signs that are within your packet tonight, as you know, we no longer have the stop sign committees. They come directly to Board of Public Works. We haven't brought any stop signs forward for a few years now, so this is the culmination of a few requests that have come in. We have received a few more requests that have come in over time, but we go through them. I went through some of the other ones with Police Chief Miller, and between myself and scoring those, they were to the point that we did not feel they were prudent to bring forward. We only brought forward the ones that we thought were prudent, that would meet the scoring or have a chance of getting approved. So the first one's 11th Avenue South in Green Bay. We went through and looked at the approach speed to the intersection, how many accidents were at the intersection. If you go to this intersection, you can see on the one corner, there's actually some hedges and trees and things that actually impair the sight line at that intersection, and we actually have had a accident at this intersection. Even though up in section 1 it says 0 accidents, that should be actually 1, because we did give it 3 points for an accident because there was an accident at this intersection. So we did come up with 16 points. The threshold for the scoring system is 15. Looking through this with Chief Miller and myself, we did recommend this for the installation of a stop sign at the intersection. I guess if the Assistant Chief has anything at any point too, he can chime in, or.
Jared, did there used to be a stop sign there?
Not at this intersection, no. No, not that I know of anyway.
I think there
Like
was.
there used to be a stop sign there. I was kind of surprised when I saw that. I was like, oh, isn't there one there?
Yeah,
Not sure.
No,
That's
it was up at
regardless.
12th Street is where it was.
it used to be at 12th and Green, 12th and Green. There used to be a four-way stop there years ago.
Right, yeah,
Yep.
but I still thought there was one here, but, okay. thank
Ron?
Jared, do we have a ordinance on the books as far as,
Vi-
say, foliage and, you know, it's kind of one of them things that's out there with the snowbanks right now.
Yep.
You know, it really makes it, if you go around looking for them, you can find them everywhere, you know, on uncontrolled intersections,
Yep.
T's and,
There is a vision triangle in our ordinance, and within that, actually, some of these trees have grown inside actually the right-of-way. If you look at the picture, they're actually inside the right-of-way, so we could
remove them.
physically go in and remove anything in the right-of-way that we felt was in the way. And also, we can go into the vision triangle if it's over less than 30 inches, or over 30 inches in height. So that is an option that could be done at the intersection. I think when I talked with Chief Miller, even with the removal of that, it's still enough through traffic coming through on Green Street, and you know, we could do a combination of both, but and to work with the homeowner, but I think the stop sign would still be warranted.
I'm not talking about this specific intersection. I'm just saying that, you know, going forward, if we've got, you know, we could drive around and we could find 50 of them if we wanted to. You know, I can think of probably 20 myself, you know, and it's one of those things when it finally does come up, it both for the discussion, if we've got the resources to remove or work with it, you don't want to go pounding on the landowners, but there's enough of them in Mayfair alone that I can think of
Yep.
that actually do need addressing. You know, they're in the right way for sure.
Yep. There are, especially when people have, over the years, would plant things in the right-of-way, not understanding that the city has any, depending on where you're at, Mayfair, it might be anywhere from 15 to 20 feet behind the curb, but some areas it might only be 11, but, depending on where you're at, there are areas within the city, and we try to, it's almost like, I equate that to right now with how much snow we've had and the different areas with sidewalk inspections. It's a corollary there that you just kind of take care of the problems that we have. If somebody brings one forward, we try to look at it. We don't really do any proactive pruning of the right-of-way. We do for city-owned boulevard trees. We do prune those up, trying to get the vision triangles so you can see around them. But there are various spots within the city, as I'd agree with
Thanks, Jared.
Alder Jurtson.
Do you want to do them one at a time?
Yeah, let's do them one at a time if we can. I would.
I move to approve the stop sign for 11th Avenue South and Green Street.
Second.
Motion made by Alder Smith, second by Alder Jurtson, to approve the stop sign at 11th Avenue South and Green Street. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved.
Item B is Strawberry Road and Abbey Road. So this is the area that we are going to be reconstructing in the summer of 2019. Currently, the roadway has very little traffic on it because of the fact that it's a dead end, only has a few residential homes beyond this area. As part of the project, I have included in your packet tonight a map showing the outlined area across from the Township Park at Strawberry Road and Abbey Road where the stop signs would be put in. I have also included plan sheets that show the installation of the stop sign as part of the roadway project. This, we did not perform the scoring sheet because of the fact that the traffic count's really gonna change after the roadway opens, and the fact that our police department wasn't performing the traffic control, the accident investigations at this intersection before we took it over in July. So we really didn't score it through the scoring system, but we did look at it as part of the overall project scope of when we designed the engineering project. I looked at traffic calming. We are adding some median islands for speed control. We did look at this with the park, the increased amount of traffic that will be added due to the connection of Abbey Road from East Avenue to County Trunk Highway OT, and staff brought this forward as a recommendation to install a three-way stop at this intersection.
I move to approve the stop sign.
Second.
A motion made by Alder Smith, seconded by Alder Jurtson, to approve a stop sign at Strawberry Road and at the intersection of Strawberry Road and Abbey Road. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved.
Item C is Rolling Oaks Drive and Oak Timber. We have a stop sign request scoring sheet and the aerial photo that shows the proposed stop signs to be installed on Oak Timber at Rolling Oaks. We have actually had multiple people request this intersection for a stop sign. We did look at this intersection, and because of the geometry of the roadway with the Rolling Oaks Drive coming through and Oak Timber kind of at a skewed angle to it, we have seen that there's some problems here that we've perceived and talked to people. We do have on the northwest side of the intersection, there are some trees. We are trying to let those grow up enough. If you travel through this intersection, you would see they are low right now, but they will be growing in the next few years. We keep trying to trim them up to ensure that when leaf on, we do have good visibility. But this one also, we did have an accident, looked at the approach speed, and looked at the unusual conditions with the geometry, and it did score the 15 points for the installation of a stop sign. And after discussing with Chief Miller, we did recommend the installation of the stop sign for Oak Timber Drive.
So for this one, the people on Oak Timber Drive would stop, but the Rolling Oaks Drive people would,
They would continue, that would still be a through
they would
street.
not
They would
stop.
not stop. This would be a two-way stop sign.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. City Administrator.
As a resident of the area, I just want to point out for the record's sake that because Oak Timber intersects with Rolling Oaks twice, this is the eastern intersection that we're being referred to, not the western one.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay.
I move to approve the stop sign on Rolling Oaks Drive and Oak Timber Drive as described.
Okay, motion made by Alder Smith, second by Alder Jurtson, to approve the stop signs at Rolling Oaks Drive and Oak Timber Drive. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved.
Item D is Rolling Oaks Drive and Charles Avenue. I have included a map tonight depicting the intersection and a scoring sheet for the intersection that was put together. If you look at this intersection, what is being included tonight does depict a three-way stop at the intersection with Charles Avenue and Rolling Oaks Drive stopping. If you've driven through this intersection and come down Charles Avenue to Rolling Oaks Drive, there is a retaining wall right behind the sidewalk that goes up, it's parkland right there. It's hard to see on this air photo, but there is a retaining wall. The retaining wall is outside the vision triangle, so it does meet code, but it still hampers your vision going up the street. Looking at this area, we do receive a number of inquiries from residents regarding traffic in this area. With the park, you can see actually the basketball court and playground that are in the picture you see tonight. When stop signs come through over the years through Stop Sign Committee or Board of Public Works, I will be one of the first proponents of not putting in stop signs for speed control. I think there's other methods of speed control. I think if we put in too many stop signs and they're in a location where people are not expecting them, or you have enough traffic to warrant them, you get instances, and Assistant Chief could talk about this a little bit, but you get people where they come up to the stop sign, they haven't seen somebody for the last 15 times coming through the stop sign, and then the 16th time there's somebody there and they're expecting them to stop and they don't stop. So I'm not an advocate of stop signs where they're not warranted. This is an unusual spot, so everything's got a story behind it. With the basketball court and the placement of the basketball court, you can see it's probably only about 40 feet from the sidewalk. We did go through the scoring system. We did assign it 13 points, which is less than the 15 that we usually mandate for a stop sign. Myself and Chief Miller discussed this kind of at length. You know, if we're going to put in some sort of intersection control on Rolling Oaks, we really didn't think that the yield sign would be appropriate this intersection. It should either be left as a through street with a stop sign at Charles Avenue or have a three-way stop if we would so choose, mainly due to the proximity of the park. I mean, it really does offer a unique safety area with the amount of traffic in that area, pedestrian traffic and children in the area. So we thought this merited bringing forward for discussion, even though it didn't meet the points requirements, and this may be an unusual circumstance.
Mr. City Administrator.
Thank you. I concur to that. I think it's a bad practice to utilize stop signs for speed control. And likewise, I also concur that there's a unique story to the area. The picture shows the park as it exists. Keep in mind that last year, new park equipment also went in there since this photo was shown. Very nice equipment that's heavily utilized. I can, again, speak as a resident of the area. My kids utilize it all the time. But because of the utilization and there's no off-street parking for the park, there are lots of cars that are parking within that intersection area as well. That limits the vision that you have. Generally, of course, cars parked down there narrow the traffic lanes, slowing traffic down, which is exactly what you're trying to do, and that's what I'm advocate for. You know, narrower streets, control speed. Unfortunately, I've seen far too many times where traffic slows down, but kids are still hopping out the wrong side of the car and in and out. It's an area there. So I'll be an advocate for looking at some solutions to assist with the speed of the traffic coming through there. So you do see traffic coming through at a high rate of speed.
I think Assistant Chief could talk. I think Officer Berg has had speed trailer in that area, and I think there's been some enforcement in that area too, just kind of.
Okay,
I mean, guess under discussion, maybe we could continue to monitor this and see if we get more traffic up there over time, or it becomes more of a concern. Get more feedback in a couple month or two from the police department.
And we can, that is a viable option to monitor the intersection this summer and see what we find, and if we, find something or to see what data we come back with, we could bring that back and have another recommendation.
So I guess at this point, I'd like to take no action on this item.
okay. There's no motion, there's nothing we can do, okay? We will, although I think we ought to make a motion to keep an eye on it, or,
Or is he gonna bring it back with information?
By not acting, that's what we're doing.
By-
pardon me?
By not acting, I think that's what we're doing.
Okay,
Staff would take that as direction to monitor the intersection and bring back any further pertinent data if we get,
okay, okay,
a future date.
Thank you, Jared.
okay. Now we're going back. Chief, I think you're,
Thank you for coming.
Five.
make sure, yeah, item 5. Review and consideration of 2019 Abbey Road reconstruction bid.
Thank you, Your Honor. We will be receiving those bids at 11 a.m. on Tuesday, March 12th, and bringing those forward to the council meeting. We did had it out for advertisement. It does look like we will have 6 bidders for the project. We have had a lot of interest in the project. I do envision that project getting favorable bids from the comments we have heard from the bidders, but I just wanted to let you know that we will be bringing that forward as a agenda item on the upcoming council agenda.
Okay. Item 6, review and consideration of Crestwood Lane Street and Utility Improvement bid. Jared?
I handed out tonight the bid results tabulation from the bid that was open today. Kevin opened the bids today at 2 p.m. on March 5th. We did have 5 bidders. Once again, we did see some good bid prices. The apparent low bidder was A1 Excavating with the build alternate of $698,189.75. The engineer's estimate for this project before it was bid was over $800,000, so we did come in under what the engineer's estimate for the project was. In the 2019 capital improvements budget, we did have $561,000 budgeted. When this project was scoped back in July of 2018, the project was scoped with the installation of a rural street cross-section, because at that time we did not think the street was going to be coming into the city, so we were going to replace it in kind with a township cross-section. In that time, since the design and since the annexations happened, the entire roadway came into the city. We brought up to the design up to city standards by adding curb and gutter to the roadway and adding drainage structures, storm sewer within the roadway cross-section. So those items actually added up and brought the bid that was received over what we had budgeted. We do have monies in the storm sewer capital fund balance that could cover the storm sewer portion of this project, which was about $70,000. And then for the curb and gutter, rock, and extra grading, the water, because this is being necessitated by the water extension up the road to the future development. We did have the water funding part of the general, which would be the curb and gutter and rock and things. And then we have monies in the other projects that we feel this project can be funded through the 2019 capital improvements budget. So we did have a scope change, so we did see it over what we had budgeted, but we still got a very good bid price. I was very pleased when the bids were given to me. I actually thought it would be more in the range of probably the second or third bidder, so I think we got a very good bid on the project.
I move we award the bid to A1 Excavating Incorporated for the 2019 Crestwood Lane utility improvements for an amount not to exceed $698,189.75.
I'd ask that you take a look at that figure again. 698, okay, thank you. I was on the wrong column.
Okay.
Second,
Okay, motion by Alder Smith, second by Alder Jurtson to awarding the bid to A1 Excavating in an amount not to exceed $698,189.75. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. Okay, item 7. Review and consideration of 2019 Urban Forestry Program bid. Jared?
Thank you, Your Honor. I have handed out the bid tabulation from the bid today for the 2019 Urban Forestry Program bid. We did have 2 bidders for the project. These are the same 2 bidders that have bid our project for probably the last 6 years now. The apparent low bidder was Hoffman McNamara, $61,980. They have performed the work previous years and have done excellent job. We did have an engineer's estimate of this project of about $68,000, so we did come in under the estimate. We do have monies budgeted in the 2019 capital projects budget of $50,000 for this project. We also are funding $5,000 from the 2018 utility project. We're going back in and planting trees where we did road projects the previous year, and we have $10,000 left in the 2018 capital projects. So we'll have actually more money than what the bid will be in our capital projects program. Staff's recommending approval.
Second.
I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Okay, thank you. A motion made by
Jared Holter.
Public Works Director Jared Holter, seconded by Alder Smith, to approve Huffman McNamara's bid of not to exceed $61,980. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. Review and consideration of 2019 miscellaneous concrete bid.
Thank you, Your Honor. This bid will actually be received next Tuesday, the morning of the council meeting. We will be bringing this bid tabulation forward. This is a pretty standard project with sidewalk replacement throughout the city for our yearly sidewalk program, concrete work, miscellaneous concrete work throughout the year. We do expect 2 to 3 bidders, probably be the same bidders we usually see, have taken out plans, so we do expect bidders for this project and expect it to come in about where we've budgeted it.
Okay?
Just information for the next meeting.
Okay. Item 9, review and consideration of construction engineering services 2019 Abbey Road reconstruction project. Jared?
Thank you. This is a quote from Short Elliott Hendrickson SCH, who also designed the project. This Abbey Road project, engineering-wise, we just didn't have the staff time to design the project. We also have a variety of projects out for bid this summer, so we'll have Crestwood Lane, Abbey Road, 2019 utility project, which will be Troy Street, probably the Crestwood Booster Station, miscellaneous concrete, urban forestry. I know I'm missing something here, but.
Sidewalk.
Oh, 6th and Quincy Lift Station. So Kevin's gonna be a very busy person, so there's 3/4 of a mile of city street out there, it would take a whole day, multiple times to do staking. We just don't have the staff time to be doing it, so we are proposing to have the staking done by the engineering consultant. We do also have a few hours in there in case we would need them, 40 hours for supplemental resident observation services. If there's a time where one of the projects is actually busier, where we can't get staff over there, just kind of as an emergency type thing. We will be using the staking hours for sure. This would be by the hour, so we would have it as a not-to-exceed amount of $34,600. And the project budget couldn't sustain this with the, what we have bidding.
Jared, you said your amount was 34,000, that doesn't.
Correct.
30,700 for construction,
If-
staking, and,
And $3,900 for construction inspection if we need it.
okay.
$34,600 total. Is that the right math? Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Alder Smith, second by Alder Jurtson to approve the construction engineering services 2009 Abbey Road reconstruction project in the amount of 34, or not to exceed $34,600.
Correct.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. Item 10, review and consideration of the 2019 chip seal pavement maintenance. Jared?
This is our yearly pavement maintenance program. This is one portion of it. We'll have other portions coming forward, such as crack filling, polyfiber purchase, joint sealing, things like that at the next month's meeting. But this is the first phase of the 2019 pavement maintenance. This would be the chip seal program we've done for many years with La Crosse County. In your packet tonight, I have included maps of the proposed areas that would be chip sealed, along with a table outlining the streets that would be done. These are in our yearly program. We do have a listing and try and space everything out so we can get this work done. This is probably the best dollars spent for life gain of our pavements. We have gotten relatively good at it over the years. We try and get on it and sweep it right away so it's not a huge inconvenience for the residents. It is an inconvenience. I won't disregard that, but we try and take it seriously and get it done as timely as we can. I think it's really important that we keep up on this program, so.
Do you have an estimated cost?
In the table, on the second page, it's got 127,461 square yards at $1.58, which would give us a total project cost of $201,388. I will note that that $1.58 is an increase. We performed last year's work at about $1.50, but we are seeing that the emulsion, that goes down, the tackifier for that we put down is going up in cost for a variety of reasons, so we have estimated it higher this year.
Okay. Motion to approve the 2019 chip seal pavement maintenance at a cost of approximately $201,388.
Motion made by Alder Smith, second by Alder Jurtson to approve the 2019 chip seal pavement maintenance at approximately $201,388. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. 12 is done. 13.
11.
11.
Oop, I'm sorry.
Employment enforcement.
Green Coulee intersection design.
We are moving forward with the Greens Coulee intersection design. We have gotten a proposal of services from the consultant, MSA Professional Engineering. They have did the initial work. They have submitted a proposal that includes $49,730.47 for the design work, and we have also included $25,300 for right-of-way services. I do not envision, I'm hopeful that we will not need all the right-of-way services, but I want to have those included due to the negotiations needed with adjacent landowners for temporary limited easements and changing access with the DOT. I think that will take quite a bit of work. As you can see, it's going to be easier to design the intersection really than it is to figure out how to make everything work with the DOT and the landowners. So it does come at a total cost of $75,030.47. We did have monies included in the 2018 and 2019 capital improvement budget for this project. Just as an outline, this project would be bid approximately October of 2019 if we follow this process. Construction in the spring of 2020 with completion, I'm slating at July 1st of 2020 if everything moves along as it should.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve MSA Professional Services for a fee of $75,030.47 for the Greens Coulee intersection traffic signal design.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Public Works Director Holter, seconded by Alder Jurtson to approve the professional engineering services for Greens Coulee Road intersection design by MSA in the amounts of $75,030.47. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. So moved. 13, review and consideration of fiber optic line installation by the School District of La Crosse. Jared,
Hopefully it's on Alaska.
what'd I say?
Ross.
Did I?
Yeah.
On Alaska. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have included a map in your handout tonight and also a request from Livermore Technologies, who is the engineering consultant for the School District of Onalaska. In your map tonight, you can see the outline of the city showing where the fiber optic line via a conduit, inside of a conduit, would be run from, on the north end of the city, from Northern Hills down to the middle school, back down to Irving Perch on Main Street, then over to the school district support offices, which are at Hickory and 2nd Avenue, then also all the way down East Main Street under US 53, down to Eagle Bluff Court and up to the Eagle Bluff School, and then also down 8th Avenue to get to the high school. Staff has reviewed this and looked at it. We would actually have the same set of conditions that we've given on other projects of this nature for installation. Would follow the DOT recommendations as far as what we'd have for indemnification and rights. We are also, at this time, we don't have a formal agreement, but we are hopeful that at some point we will move forward with a joint project with the school district and actually utilize part of their conduit they'll be installing as part of this project to run our fiber optic cable to connect from City Hall, which is right next to Irving Perch, up through Northern Hills School, and then continue on to our Public Works facility, Omni Center, and Pool, which are on that end of the city, and then also probably from the high school over to the city parks maintenance shop in Roe Park.
Good.
We are hopeful that this will be a joint project at some time. We do not have the formal agreement, but we are in those discussions, so I think it will be a win for everyone in the city. I'd make a motion to approve their installation with the condition of getting a street opening permit with conditions as listed by the engineering department.
Second.
How many conditions is that, Jared?
I don't have the conditions in front of me. It'd be whatever the engineering department assigns.
Okay. Okay, so a motion made by Public Works Director Holter, seconded by Alder Jurtson, to approve the fiber optic line installation by the School District of Onalaska.
Let's go.
Ron?
The conduit that they're proposing to put in, is it one conduit that we're gonna share, or are they gonna put a separate conduit there?
They're actually going to put two conduit in most of the locations. So if you look on your map tonight, you can see there's 2 1/4 ducts wherever it's red.
Okay.
And then if you see a black line, it would be 1 duct. So the 1 duct is basically just the runs into their buildings, the very short runs into the buildings. They would actually be installing 2 ducts in almost all the locations along the street right away. And they will be, that's part of the discussions on how many pairs of fiber optic cable they will be installing in their duct. So they will be looking at, through the development, or through an agreement process of looking at, do we share in the fiber optic strands that are already in the duct, or do we actually utilize one of the other ducts and put our own cable in? So those are the details that will have to be worked out. I will most likely be bringing forward a recommendation from staff in the next month or two to hire Livermore Technologies to do our engineering work, so we can get our fiber optic cable project advanced to the point where we can make those decisions with the school district and get those agreements started. I think it's good. It's truly a win. They have other partners that they are looking at. Ultra Federal Credit Union is looking at being a partner with them. School District of Holman was looking at even coming in with them to go further north and hook the two school districts together. There's a variety of options that they were looking at. We did have a meeting last summer with the school district and a variety of partners that could be within the project. But I think I'm going to try and concentrate from a staff level of trying to work with the school district and keep things simplified once we know what our design would be, if we can just use their conduit and get our needs met, trying to keep things simple, because it could get, there could be some complicated agreements that could go on in the future, depending on, is it a consortium that runs the fiber optic cable and owns it, or is it a single entity, and things like that will have to get worked out with the assistance of the city attorney, so.
Sounds like an excellent project. Thank you, Jared, for
Well-
your work on that.
School district's really the one, they've been ramrodding this, they've been driving it, it's really within their plan of connecting their schools, so they've really been the ones that have took this and ran with it. They should be the one applauded for what their efforts are.
Sounds like a good opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Abstentions? I was just a little slow on the gun there. Okay, now, let's see this, that's 13, so we've, 15. Review and consideration of purchase of confined space entry safety equipment. Jared.
Enclosed in your packet tonight are two quotes for confined space safety entry equipment. We did have $20,000 budgeted for this equipment when staff went through and looked at and had demonstrations of equipment, and they did choose to cut a couple things back and keep some of the equipment that we did have. Staff is recommending to purchase equipment from Airgas of La Crosse in the amount of $12,191.42, and that is the lower of the two quotes included in your packet.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Alder Smith, seconded by Alder Jurtson, to approve the purchase of confined space entry safety equipment from Airgas at an amount not to exceed $12,191.42. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. Item 16, review and consideration of professional engineering services for Court Street Lift Station reconstruction. Jared?
The Court Street Lift Station currently serves the old city shop site and 9 residential parcels or units down by the South Court Street area of the city. With the redevelopment of the old city shop into the Great River Residences, we will be going from the city shop to a proposed 101 residential units. The current city shop has been in the capital improvements budget for replacement, just waiting for that redevelopment. It is a 35-year-old USEMCO can station, so it was put in as not a long-term solution even when it was put in. Staff is proposing to have Strand Associates perform a redesign of the station, so we'd have a permanent lift station site that would be moved out of the way of the redevelopment, would be the permanent site that we would have with standby power. It would look like the lift stations that we currently have within our system. Strand Associates has designed the 6th and Quincy and the South Kenny lift station, both of those within the last 3 years. They know what staff is looking for, they know our standards. They are proposing a fee of $25,000, estimated not to exceed that fee for this work. I think they're actually using a lot of what we've already used on other projects. That's actually a pretty good fee for what the compensation for all the work that they'll have to do. So staff is recommending that we do hire Strand Associates for the lift station design. One of the other things I would point out quick is that we are on a tight schedule with this, trying to get it out of the way and done before those buildings get built. So they have committed that they would have completion of the services by May 31st, 2019. So we'd hopefully be bidding it in June.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve for Strand for an amount not to exceed $25,000 for professional engineering services for the Court Street Lift Station reconstruction.
Motion made by Alder Smith. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Seconded by Public Works Director Holter. Discussion.
Lost my train of thought. I can ask you it some other time.
Okay.
It's not gonna sway with the way I vote
Okay.
at all.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. So moved. Pay estimates. There are 8 of them. In the amount, what's the total amount, Jared?
I don't have a total amount. The 8
Okay.
estimates as shown on the attached sheet for March 5th,
Okay,
2019.
the 8 pay estimates that are shown in the packet.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion made by Alder Smith, second by Alder Jurtson, to approve the 8 pay estimates in the packet. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Public Works Director Holter, seconded by Alder Jurtson. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? We stand adjourned at 7:37. Thank you, everybody.